Hi, my 4B detectives. Happy Wacky Wednesday. Are you keeping your wacky hair up today? Yes? No? Did you take it off right after our lesson? Well, after math class, I decided that I wanted to give you some more time to work on your how-tos for how to save and protect the forest and how to save and protect the ocean. If you were an odd number, which means 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, and 17. I believe that's the highest we need to go. Yep. You were supposed to tell us how to protect the forest. And tomorrow I'll have a Flipgrid up for you to post on how to protect it. Maybe you wrote steps using a how-to paper and you said first, next, then, last. Or maybe you just had a bunch of ideas and you wrote them all down and you'll read them to us. I can't wait to see how you protect all those beautiful deer and hedgehogs and groundhogs and squirrels and bears and geez, all the animals in the forest. If you were an even number, which means 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, that's the highest I have to go, you were supposed to tell us how to protect the ocean. Tomorrow on Thursday, you also will have to make a Flipgrid, maybe with your how-to steps or with your list of things we can do to protect the ocean. Let us know what you came up with. Well, while you're thinking of those ideas, jotting them down, watching the videos that I've posted, I have a very famous story that a lot of teachers read when it comes to Earth Day. This is a story by Dr. Seuss. You can tell just by looking at the cover. It's so Dr. Seussy. It's called the Lorax. Now, this is a Lorax. Is it an animal? Is it a person? I really don't know. It's just called a Lorax. Well, the Lorax is the main character, and he's the guardian of the trees. He's protecting the forest, kind of what you're trying to do if you're writing about that. Well, the Lorax tells us that unless we try and help, nothing's going to happen. You can just sit around and wait, hoping someone else does the job that you need to do, which is save our planet and make sure that it's nice and healthy and happy and takes care of us like it's been doing for hundreds and thousands and millions of years. Well, the Lorax has a big problem. There's a lot of people chopping down trees, and he's going to tell them to stop and try and work on fixing the earth or fixing the forests. If you're interested, you can go online. YouTube kind of has it. You have to watch a couple videos, but if you're able to, you can buy or rent the movie, The Lorax. They made it a couple years ago. You can watch the movie version of this book. And it's really fun and wacky, and there's songs in it, so I hope you enjoy that. And there's also a shorter version from a couple of decades ago in the 70s about the Lorax. If you're interested in watching that, that's on YouTube. But I got the book here, and I can't wait to read to you. Let's go. Okay, here I have the Lorax. It also talks about the project called the Lorax Project, where it actually does try to save real forests in our world. And this one is a special book because it says Earth Friendly. This was actually printed on recycled paper. So instead of cutting down trees or new trees to make this book, they used old paper from old books or maybe old homework, and they made this book, the Lorax. This is the Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows and no birds ever sing except old crows in the street of the lifted Lorax. So there's a street, eh? And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep down enough, you can still see today, where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. So it seems like there's still a house, and they say a onceler. So we know that once means one, and it happened. So maybe he's able to tell us some one thing that happened. I'm curious to see what type of character he is. But it seems like this once pretty area is now just gross with crows and dead grass and dead trees. I wonder if this little boy is going to be telling us the story. Or is the Onceler going to tell us the story? You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. Interesting. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffered moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, ... if you're willing to pay. And I can see the little boy's down here, and he's looking up at this house, which I guess is called a lurkum. We have a lot of Dr. Seuss silly words here. And that must be the Onceler, who every once in a while on a cold, dark night in August, he will tell you a story. And I think you have to pay him maybe by putting a coin in that bucket. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, a bucket. And you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail. And the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Oh, so he is very picky. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snoove, his secret strange hole, and his groovulous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper my phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. So only the people who pay him gets to hear the story. But it's funny, you whisper my phone. Slurp! Down slips the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I will tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It'll all start way back, such a long, long time back. Oh, wow, look how colorful it is. I like how in this story, it's showing the future, or what's the present for us, is all dark and gloomy. But back before all the bad stuff happens, the story was nice and bright. So I wonder if maybe we'll see how all this bright stuff went away. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the swami swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place. And I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in this fresh morning breeze. So if you look down here, it says Onceler Wagon. So this weird creature, monster person, the Onceler, seems like it's moving into this beautiful area. And you have all the animals flying. They're very happy because no one's hurting them. And under the trees, I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. We know that fish from the Cat in the Hat. So all the animals are happy, they have food, they have sunshine. But those trees, those truffula trees. All my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. If you look closely, what's something in this cart that might be used on trees? A barrel, some boxes, maybe a blanket, an axe. What do you think? Oh, look, the Oncelers. He made a nice house for himself. I like how we never see him, though. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I topped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a thneed. Oh, that is hard to say. If you want to try it, it has the TH sound, that digraph where you got to make air in front of your mouth, and then it adds an N. Thneed. And I knitted a thneed. So he's making kind of clothes, and I guess it's called a thneed. Oh, but look, yep, he chopped down that tree. The poor truffle tree. The instant I finished, I heard a gazump. I looked, I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. Yeah, we don't know if that's a man or something. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy. And he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. A lot of adjectives there. That would have been great back in the year. Oh, here he is with his thneed. Mister, he said with a sawdusting sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's that thing you've made out of my truffle a tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed to find something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains or covers, for bicycle seats. Wow. So this man, the Onceler, made one fancy piece of clothing, it seems, that can be all sorts of things that you need, and you would only need one. Well, that reminds me a lot about what's going on today. People are cutting down trees one at a time, saying they need them. But while you're taking that for what you need, you're hurting the trees and the animals that live there. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There's no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. But the very next minute I proved he was wrong, for just as that minute a chap came along. And he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy. So I can see the animals are surprised here. So this man will take the thneed. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. Ooh, this Onceler is mean. He's saying a lot of mean words. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put it in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast, take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch. So he's telling them the directions on how to get here. But look at the Lorax, he's freaking out. Oh my gosh, it's like a forest. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's all these truffle trees being cut down. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds, just as busy as beads, to the sound of the chopping of truffle trees. So they started not to care about the environment because they were making money off of it. And the money was more important to them because they could buy things. It was more important than keeping the area alive and happy for all these animals. Look how sad he is. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now, chopping one tree at a time was too slow. His factory got even bigger and they have a machine. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffle trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and the Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. Even the Lorax left. Thankfully, he's coming and knocking on the door. Oh, but the next week he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, I am the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please, but I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffle fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffle fruit to go round, and my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. So it seems that by taking away the trees, they took away the fruit that and the shade that these animals were using or eating, and they're getting sick because of it. And if they have no food, they won't be able to survive. So for those of you who are working on the forest and how to protect it, seems like this is one of the problems you might have seen. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. Whoa, look at that. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. So he doesn't even care about the animals. Look at this. It's a huge, look, they have all these different trucks going, which are causing gas, which is causing air pollution. You have all the oils and gas coming out of the factory. They got all these machines taking up electricity. They're chopping down the forest day by day. Man, let's see what he has to say. I meant no harm, I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of the needs I shipped down. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Oh, geez. Biggering's not even a word. That's a Dr. Seuss word if I've ever heard one. Oh no! Look, the Lorax climbed the trees and he brought these sick, very tired animals, but he also looks sick and tired himself. Let's see what happens. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled. He snargled and he sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a cruffulous croak. Onceler, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in their throat. So smog is when smoke and fog come together and you can't see it, or it's very difficult to breathe, and it's up in the sky normally because it flies from here, but it can fall down and make the air really difficult for people to breathe, especially birds who would be flying in it. That explains why they look so tired. And so, said the Lorax, oh, please, pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. So the Barbaloos left, and now the Swami Swans. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here. Look, even my voice is starting to go. What's more, snapped the Lorax, though his dander was up, which means he's starting to get more excited. Let me say a few words about Gluppity-Glup. Your machinery chugs on, day and night without stop, making Gluppity-Glup, also Schluppity-Schlop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. So this is another part. A lot of factories might make this disgusting oil or gasoline that, unfortunately, if you don't get rid of it properly, it can hurt the world. Oh, and that is exactly what it did. For my friends who are talking about protecting the ocean, seems like this is a problem. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary, which means bad. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary. Yeah, fish are meant to walk in search of some water that isn't so smeary. He's just bringing the one-sealer with him, though. I wonder if the one-sealer will hear him. Oh, no. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax. Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, and say, bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you. I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffle trees into needs, which everyone needs. Whoa. That is crazy. That's crazy. This one-sealer cares so much about making money and making his clothes, his needs, that he doesn't care about pollution. He doesn't care about deforestation, which is when you cut down the trees and you don't replant them. He doesn't care about hurting the habitat of these animals. And he figures that he'll just keep growing and growing because everyone needs his clothes, except the Lorax. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack, so it sounded so sick, of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall. The very last truffle tree of them all. Now, I want you to think this was the last tree. So, what happens after that last tree is gone? If you're not sure, maybe think of your bean plant. If you picked all the beans off, would you have any more seeds to grow new ones? Think, how long does it take for a tree to grow to that size? It took weeks for your bean plants even to grow just a little bit. Can you imagine an entire tree? Look at the trees in your backyard or on your street. Those took hundreds of years. So if you chop down the last one, it's going to be a long time, or never, before they come back. Well, no more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and my aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left, 'neath the bad-smelling sky, was my big, empty factory, the Lorax, and I. So it looks like the beginning of the story, if you ask me. Oh, look, he's jumping. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance. Just gave me a very sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. Well, that was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away through the years while my buildings have fallen apart. I've worried about it with all of my heart. So he's been here for years with chopped down trees, broken factories. He's not even making money anymore. I mean, he was selling his clothes for so much money, and he only asked for 15 cents a nail and a snail shell from that boy. Take a moment. What do you think this unless means? Unless the word unless means that something won't happen if you do not do something. So you won't get to go out for recess unless you put your coat on. So if you don't put your coat on, you don't get to go. So that's where unless comes in. You don't get to have ice cream unless you eat your dinner. So you have to do something first to get the thing you want. So I wonder what the Lorax is saying. What do we want? What do we want to fix? What do we want to happen? Well, why can't we do it unless something happens? Interesting. Let's see. Oh, look, we're back here with the little boy. He's standing on the unless as the Onceler tells the story. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you, or you, cares an awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds. And the truffula seeds are what everyone needs. Oh, so it's not that they need the clothes, they need the trees. Plant a new truffula. Treat it with care. Give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest. Protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. The end. Ooh, so this is a fancy story because this is an example of a story where you don't get to see the good things happen. It just ended with what bad things happen and a message that unless we help the trees, we replant the trees, we water the trees, we give them air, we give them soil, all the living things checklist that we used weeks ago. If you don't help protect the trees by recycling or planting trees, watering them, they're going to go away and the animals will go away. And then eventually we'll be stuck here as sad as the Onceler, wishing that the trees would come back. So the Lorax, there's also a movie about it, but the Lorax is a very special book because it tells us that we need to take care of our world. If we don't, then our animals won't be happy. Our habitats like the forest, the ocean, the deserts, the rainforests, the Arctic where all the penguins and polar bears live, they won't be happy and they'll get sick and eventually the world won't be healthy and we won't. So it's all a big circle or a big puzzle. Everybody works together. And so today I want you to work hard on telling me how to protect the forest or how to protect the ocean and our waters. And I want you to work on that so that tomorrow we can see your awesome Flipgrid. Well, thank you for reading, my friends, with me and listening to this crazy story. If you have time, try and see if you can watch the movie. But other than that, bye, detectives.